You're probably watching this on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, or maybe neither, I don't know. But if you are, happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate. And I hope you're not alone if you don't want to be. And if you want to be, I hope you're not lonely and you're enjoying yourself. I woke up really early today because I have a long day ahead of me. I want to get this video out by Christmas Eve, and I'm also reading My Brilliant Friend, and I want to be done. And I think it's doable. It's actually a shorter book than I envisioned it to be, and it's going really fast. I only started a couple of hours ago, and I'm getting into it. It took a couple of pages, but I also started losing track of some of the characters. I didn't expect so many characters to be introduced so quickly, especially the boys, the Nino, Reno, Pino, Antonio, Stefano, Enzo. So many characters being introduced, being thrown at me. So probably not the best thing to start the day with, and I'm getting the hang of it. Good thing is, I guess the author anticipated that, because there's a short outline before you even start the book of the characters and which family they belong to, because yeah, it's something. So I have a couple of work things to get off my plate, and it will take about 2 to 3 hours for me to do that. So I'm going to start the day, take a shower, get some food, and focus on that for the next couple of hours so I can get that out of the way, because we are going out today. I am going out. I am leaving the house today. But Igho, it's 15 degrees out. It is so cold today. It's freezing. Why would you go out? That is an excellent question. Thank you so much for asking. The thing is, as part of my self-care practice, I made a deal with myself that I was going to go out as often as I can during the winter. So I have scheduled days to go out at least twice a week, and I had to do it that way. I had to make that deal, because if I didn't, I really wouldn't go out. Like, because who wants to go out in the cold, you know? So yeah, I'm leaving the house today. It was supposed to be gloomy yesterday. I'm actually surprised to see the sun today, but I'm not complaining. I am counting my blessings. Again, I am halfway through the childhood section of the book. It's going really fast. It is a very well written, very simple book to follow, which I wasn't anticipating. I thought it was going to be a little heavy-handed going into the prose because of how critically acclaimed the book is. Mistake on my part. My bad. But yes, that's the plan. And speaking of reading, something I've been thinking about is doing one of those read with me style videos that spans like an hour or two. Not live streaming. I haven't quite worked my way up to live streaming yet. That's something that I, might also be interested in doing. I don't know how that would work with my current schedule. But yeah, I've been thinking of recording a read with me type videos where I just kind of set up the camera and read for an allotted period of time, and we kind of read together on the other end of these devices that we use. But yeah, let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing in the comment section. I think that it might be helpful to sort of help, decompress and like body double in a way. It is helpful to me to watch other people that I follow do that. So yeah, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to go to work, and work for some of this money. The trick I have found is to actually have something fun to want to go out to do. That is the trick, my loves. Because on a day as cold as today, where I already have something scheduled to do, I promise you, if it wasn't something I was actually looking forward to doing, I would not leave my house. I simply wouldn't. I initially had 2 plans. The first was to go to the library and renew my card, because I am like 2 weeks overdue on my library card. What I didn't do was check to confirm that they're actually open today, which they are not. And good for them that they're not open today, but I should have confirmed. So that will end up being a New Year task because I don't think I'll have time next week to go. So I'm going to have to do that in the first week in January. And I was recently gifted a Barnes & Noble's gift card. So the other thing I was going to do was go to Barnes & Noble and do some book shopping with my gift card. And you see, that's something that I could have done online. I could have easily ordered the book online and had it delivered, but I decided to make a trip out of it. I have to go far into the city to get those books, which, you know, it's a win-win. I get to go in, look at books, have a little tea, have a little coffee, sit in their lounge thing, whatever, and just enjoy the book that I'm reading. And then I get to come home with books that are basically free, at least free for me. Someone else paid for them. It's the best kind of book shopping to do. So I'm going to go catch the train. I'm going to give you a little OOTD, and I'm only taking my book. I'm not even taking my computer or anything, so I won't be tempted to work because I want to finish this book. It is so good. Yeah, let's head out. Hello, we're back home and it's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve. Very unrelated, but someone needs to go into my brain and delete Nissan Altima by Doechii from it because I can't even, it's literally the first thing that popped in my head when I woke up this morning. It's a blessing and a curse. I love it. So my gift card got me 2 books and a bookmark, a very cute bookmark. I got Babel, which I haven't read. I've actually never read anything by R.F. Kuang, but I can't escape her. So she has been on my list for a couple of years now. I think since Babel came out, and I think 2025 might be the year where I break that streak and finally read something by R.F. Kuang. I'm going to start with Babel, and then I will make my way to Yellowface. But I got that, and I got Piranesi by Susan Clark because I'm trying to get into Gothic novels. I haven't read anything Gothic. I don't think that's a genre that I've ever explored. I don't know if Neil Gaiman counts, or maybe some Stephen King. I don't know. Or if those are just considered like adventure/horror writers. But this did come specifically from a Gothic recommendation and from someone whose opinion I trust. So it was an easy pick from my reading list to add for next year. I wanted to get James by Percival Everett, but I haven't read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which I know most of the reviewers have said that reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is not a prerequisite for reading James, and you can read them like separately. Like James stands on its own, but then they also say that reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn makes James a more engaging read, because then you have like the context of the story, because James is a retelling of Swain's book, but from the point of view of Jim, who is a supporting character in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So I will have to rethink that maybe next year or sometime in the future. We'll see. But that isn't really why we're gathered here today. We are here because I finally finished My Beautiful Friend by Elena Ferrante. And now I can talk about it in full and give you an actual review and share my thoughts on this apparently controversial book. One of the things that I had read was that it was a difficult book to read, which I think only strengthened my bias going into this book. Because in the positive reviews of this book, the book has found itself in the company of some books that I categorize as insisting upon themselves, books that are called smart books, or like that smart readers consider to be smart books. Basically, in conversations with people who seem to forget that reading is also supposed to be a fun and engaging hobby. So I went into it thinking it was going to be one of those books that insists upon itself and was, going to be heavy, but for no reason. And I admit that, but I'm also happy to say I am glad that I was proven wrong. That was not my experience at all. It was a very immersive reading experience. She really catapults you into the story and paints a very vivid, very colorful picture of Naples, Italy at the time when she's writing the story. And the descriptions of the people are so well done that each person stands out visibly as a human being with like full form in my mind because of how good her descriptions were and how great she was at painting a picture of the setting, of the scene, of the people, the going ins and outs of the neighborhood where the entire story starts out. I think that the mark of a truly intelligent writer is how well they're able to paint a picture and tell a story in a way that doesn't feel forceful. And sometimes it takes an immense amount of work and talent to make something very complex seem very simple to the person who is engaging with the work that you've produced. And this book is not overly convoluted like I thought it was going to be, and it is not pretentious at all in its written style. I think that it is very simply written for a book that is kind of epic in its storytelling because it has such a large cast of characters and has elements of romance and drama and is clearly building up to be more expansive than what even I have read in just this one book. Maybe I haven't been looking in the right places, but I haven't seen it categorized as like women's fiction or put in any like chick lit categories. I think if it was, I would have found it sooner. But there are elements in the story, especially in the romances that happen in the story, where I think it would have been appropriate to categorize that way. Maybe it is categorized that way and I just haven't come across it yet. And in retrospect, I see the validity of the people who didn't enjoy the book. And I'm talking very specifically about people who have read the book, at least the first book or at least half of the first book, and still were just not interested. Not the people who like have read it and have nothing to say about it except it's mid. I'm saying that I don't agree and that it would be dismissive to not see how someone can not like this book. I think that the reasons for liking this book are the same reasons why a person may not like it, if that makes sense. Because the story is not spectacular in that there's nothing like special, quote unquote, happening or fantastical happening. And a lot of the happenings in the story are very everyday type of things. And I think that may have been the point. So I totally see how someone else could have had a really boring experience reading My Brilliant Friend. I can see it. I didn't start caring about the characters till like chapter 8 of the first part of the book, the childhood section of the story, which is I think page 49. I just wasn't that invested. I don't know if it's because the writer didn't want me to care, but it wasn't until that point I started actually caring. When Maestra Oliviero, the teacher, took the girls to the older classes to compete, and somewhere around the time when the girls started engaging with the boys, and I think it was the other character, Enzo, who showed that he was really, really good at math. And I was like, oh, okay, Enzo, I see you. I see you. You are making a mark, sort of, kind of, in my brain. And I think Nino too, but only because Elena herself, who's writing the story, was enamored with him. She had a crush on him at the time. So my brain kind of like paid attention and logged him as potentially important. But page 81, that was where the book got me. That was absolutely where it got me. That was when I felt it. This friendship joining these two girls in ways that even they could not even comprehend yet, where their sense of self is becoming so blended that, at least from Elena's point of view, it's becoming harder for the individual to know where they end in some ways and where the other begins, which, you know, is extra complicated because these are their formative years, like they're in their childhood years. So they're really getting to know the world and each other for the first time. And I don't know what the word is for that feeling, but as a person with female friendships myself and who personally has a heavy protective barrier around my boundaries, yeah, I absolutely got it. I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting following these two girls. I want to see where this goes. From what I can tell, just based off book one, I think because it's based off of something so simple or seemingly simple, the story can be easily underestimated or dismissed as trivial because it's two girls growing up together, going from childhood to adulthood and experiencing all these different markers of life together in Italy. So on the surface, it seems very ordinary, like very basic, but the bonds that we form with the people that we travel life with, those everyday bonds, can sometimes be the most formative and the most intimate and the most influential bonds that we carry through life. You know, emotionally, I'm not as invested in the friendship between Leela and Elena because I'm not a fan of frenemism. I don't know if that's the word, but we're going to go with it. This phenomenon where there are elements of jealousy and competitiveness within a friendship, but also this sort of distant adoration of one person by the other person that I think in some ways dehumanizes the person that is the object of that adoration. You know, it pedestalizes them in a way, like good or bad, but it is also a very human thing to experience. So I enjoy like reading the exploration of it, and I guess it's not off-putting enough for me to want to find out where it goes. So I may not be emotionally invested, but I am curious to see how it goes. Like, it engaged me enough to want to find out. So in conclusion, yes, I will be getting and reading the rest of the quartet in 2025. Regarding it being on the top 100 list, I don't know what went into that decision making. That's not something I've looked into. Maybe I'll get it when the reviewers explain how they made their decision and how this book in particular ended up being number one on the list. My guess is that it's at the top of the list because of its very immersive narration style and the prose, because it does make you feel like you are reading the story from inside the story itself. And the characters are so human and so lifelike once you actually get a hang of them, because there's so many people. I saw that there were allegations of snobbishness and pretentiousness in the dismissal. Well, let me not say dismissal. That sounds a little accusatory. In the absence of genre fiction from the list. And we're still just about halfway through the century itself. So a list of like the best like 100 books of the century, I don't know, it seems a little too moot. But I think the New York Times had a job to do to keep the lights on and to get us talking. So good on them for finding a controversial thing to throw into the book sphere of the internet, especially. Shout out to them. I'm going to give them that. And is it worth the number one spot? I don't know. I haven't read the other 99 books on the list. Is it my number one? Based off just the first book, I don't think so. It is not. I've had more like pleasurable experiences reading a book as really good as this one was. But no, I definitely have many books that I would pick. This is not my number one. But the story itself and the ending makes me itch for book number 2. So I am going to get all 3 and I'm going to keep it going for sure. Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to let you go and have a merry, merry Christmas. Let me know what you think of this book if you have read it, or if you've read Piranesi or Babel. Should I be excited to read them, or am I going to have to, I don't know. Whatever. Yes. Anyway, happy Christmas. I'm sending you all my love. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next video. I'm going to take a couple of days from reading. I feel like I've been marathoning my way for the past couple of days and just like reading and working editing, reading, working editing, reading, working editing. I have movies to catch up on. I have other things to do, and I have a life. I have sleep. Actually, I have been sleeping. I will not deprive myself of sleep. Not in December. Anyway, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.